Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel for another Dungeons & Dragons campaign story. If you're new, please subscribe and you can check out my other videos with the playlist link in the description. After hearing eerie fortunes from the deck of many things, the players bid Alyron goodbye. As they go to leave, many figures leap off nearby rooftops, drawing swords and crossbows. The closest figure suddenly pauses and signals for the others to wait as he approaches. There's a brief, tense exchange, and the party learns that this is another assassination attempt. But the assassins didn't plan for Alyron's presence. How suspicious. But even the lord of the city can't dissuade the attackers, and a fight breaks out. The players hear a low hum of energy and then a snap before they see a clothed skeleton tumble backwards towards the remainder of the assassins. Both sides launch themselves into the fray. Barakas gets down by a pair of assassins. The druid heals him. Barakas gets downed again. The druid heals him again. Barakas gets downed a third time. The druid Wait, are we stuck in a time loop? Alyron is badly wounded before he can be of more help, but the players manage without him. The last assassin attempts to flee, but Barakas manages to put an arrow through her neck. The players loot the bodies and find more bounty notes, but also a decent amount of money. With how the previous attackers have fared, subsequent groups apparently need more monetary inspiration. The ranger gets this mischievous look in her eyes as she starts lightly flirting with Alyron. He blushes a little and you can almost hear the gears turning inside the ranger's mind as she comes up with some kind of plan. The players offer Alyron shelter in their guild hall, which he tentatively accepts, now that he needs somewhere to hide out until he can deal with the out-of-control assassin problem. When they're back to the guild hall, Barakas decides he wants to go explore the recently uncovered basement area. He tries to climb, but like the skilled adventurer we know him to be, fails his athletics check and goes tumbling down. The druid and paladin lower a rope to pull Barakas out of the pit. The party decides that they don't quite feel ready to embark into the dark depths and go on a covert but quite spendy shopping spree. The paladin purchases a bow, not having realized up till this exact moment that he could use one. Come on bro, read the player's handbook every once in a while. The druid, like a good believer, purchases all the finery she needs to make an altar to Apollo. The ranger, however, heads to the tailor and spends an exorbitant amount of money to make a dress. Now, this isn't your ordinary run-of-the-mill dress, no. This dress is specifically designed to compete with Alyron and other nobles' finery. Barakas, a tiefling of simple tastes, buys some ladders and rope. Barakas heads back to the hall immediately after his purchase, cackling quietly to himself. He fails to properly bind the ladders together and just hangs out, waiting for everyone to get back. The party sleeps for a bit and wakes up to a feast sitting on the ground. Alyron nods to everyone, grabs a bite, and saunters over to the kitchen while Barakas eats so much that he pukes. Why the f does he do this? Well, the players had talked at length about trying to commit all deadly sins within 24 hours, and Barakas is always up for a friendly challenge. It's finally time to head into that dark pit that has just been sitting in the middle of the players' new guild hall. The party reaches the room at the bottom and it is dark. Narrow hallways extend in multiple directions. Barakas decides to go first as he's the stealthiest. He nearly gets obliterated by a spike trap and wonders why his stealth didn't adequately protect him. The players slowly make their way down a very long, dark hall until they come to a large open room. They can see several figures at the other end of the room, but can't detect any movement. The players stealth into the room as a group, or try to since the paladin can't stealth for shit. The figures still don't move. That's when the party notices a chest nearby, but instead of taking an hour to check for mimics, they just try to open it. It's unlocked, though bears traces of a trap. The players turn their attention to the figures, who still haven't moved in spite of everything happening. The party gets ready for battle. The ranger casts some spells in an attempt to control the figures' movement if they wake up, and the druid goes and taps one. It starts to move and takes a swing at her head. Naturally, the players murder him and decide they're going to wake the figures up one by one and execute them. That is, until Barakas rolls a natural f***ing 1 and hits the wrong figure, sending them sprawling into each other like dominoes as they all wake up. One turns out to be a red dragonborn that decides to get into an elemental breath match with the druid. The enemies are weak enough that the players stomp them, mutter about having to clean up the mess, and continue exploring. Down the next hallway, Barakas receives a vision in the form of a card, but there is no identifying image. He informs the other players of what he saw, and everyone is on edge. Barakas sneaks into the room, afraid of the impending doom. It seems to be clear except for a small bundle in the corner. The party anxiously creeps closer, but the bundle appears to be a lone tiefling woman. She's not moving, but players take no chances. The druid starts throwing deer hooves from afar and keeps missing. The paladin finally chucks one and hits dead on, but the tiefling gasps horribly and starts bleeding heavily on the ground. The druid stabilizes her with a medkit and the ranger does some intense healing. The tiefling opens her eyes and fixates on Barakas, who now looks extremely uncomfortable. Barakas? meet Vengeance, your loyal devotee for the remainder of her life. Tune in next week to see what other wonders or horrors lie beneath the player's home. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. If you are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the little bell so you get notified when I post. I'll see you guys next time.